So today is class 4, and Rose will be discussing the bhavas, signs, houses, and disease, and specifically the role of rising sign and ascendant in health. And hopefully at some point, maybe next class, we will discuss the drishtis, which are really, really important. I think as far as the Vedic astrology goes, if we can read a chart and find out what dasha anyone is running, just by knowing the dasha, I think that is enough for us at this point to able to do a very basic protocol. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rose. Also, another very important thing is the malefic, natural malefic planets and natural benefic planets. Like I said, I spent a lot of time with my father, and he said the dasha, as long as you know the dasha somebody's running and the drishti, that itself should give you enough tools to give a very, very basic protocol. And better not to suggest gemstones, because if you give a wrong gemstone to someone, it'll actually have a negative effect. But better to give mantras, because with mantras you really can't go wrong. But if you do not know your astrology and Jyotish, not to give gemstones, because gemstones have to be purified with mantras, and there are certain kriyas that must be done on a gemstone. So he suggested that for students, better to do the mantras for each one. So this is how I have learned, and I don't know how Rose does it. This is your North Indian. So there's 12 houses. Rose, I don't mean to hijack your class, but you did ask me to introduce. I like this style of chart because it's easier to understand the drishtis in one. So this is house number 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But Rose is going to go from here, where this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And each house has a bhava, and she'll go through all of that. So Rose, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Good morning. Namaste. This is Jyotish class lecture 4. We're going to be talking about the bhavas, the houses, the signs, the houses, and disease. And then we're going to look also at Lance Armstrong's chart. I'm just going to we'll also be looking at the ascendant and the rising sign, or the ascendant as the rising sign. This is the same thing, the ascendant and the rising sign. So let me just go to the slide. The signs and the houses correlate to certain body parts. The first house is also called Tanubhava. It's the physical body. The first house will always represent the person and their characteristics. It will be, it will have a lot of their personality will be part of the first house. It relates to their general overall well-being. And it relates to Aries, which is the first sign of the natural zodiac. And Aries is a sign that you may remember the ram is the symbol for Aries. And so the focus is on the head. And Aries relates to the head, the brain, the eyes. And Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. And so what you'll begin to see here is you'll begin to notice that certain characteristics with certain signs, and you may be able to notice this about people that you know. Aries is a very dynamic and assertive personality. They're very competitive, and they have a very independent type of spirit. So Aries people are very energetic, and they're very good at starting up things. And so when you think of the symbol of the ram and the headstrong part, it really relates clearly to the symbol and Aries and the person. So if you have someone who's Aries rising, they're going to be very independent and assertive and enthusiastic, because it's a sign that's ruled by Mars. So the first house will always relate to the physical body and your general overall well-being. And so Aries in the natural zodiac is the sign that rules the head. And it's ruled by Mars, which is Pitta. And Pitta also deals with the brain. So these are all, we're integrating the bhavas and with the sign, with the area that it's related to in the body. So just think of the zodiac as the first sign of the natural zodiac is Aries. So we're starting with the head, and we're just working all the way down the body. The second house is Dhanabhava. That's our wealth. It represents the money that we make. It also is indicative of our speech, what we take in our mouth. And the second house also deals with our face. So this relates to the sign of Taurus, which is the second sign of the natural zodiac. Taurus deals with the face, the neck, and the throat area. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus is, Parashara said, both Kapha and Vata. So this gives you more information about Taurus. The sign of Taurus, Taurians are it's an earth sign, and so they are concerned with stability and acquiring. Excuse me. They're concerned with preserving things. And so the sign of Taurus will also be concerned with accumulation. It's the second house of the natural zodiac, so it is concerned with things of a material nature, how we attain our wealth. So this is the second house, and the second house represents our wealth, what we earn. The second house represents our speech. And what we take in our body. The second house is very important because what we take in our body is our food. And we can, if the second house has a lot of planets there, or if it's afflicted, then that means that our diet, there could be an issue with our diet, with what we take in our mouth, what we drink, what we eat. And then at the same time, and very connected to Ayurveda, is what we say, our speech. So the second house will give a lot of information about a person, and Venus rules the sign of Taurus. Venus is a planet that Venus likes sweets. Venus deals with sweet speech. If Venus rules someone's second house, in general, that person may have a very sweet way of speaking, or a deliverance of what they say that's very nice and soothing to us. So the second house relates to Taurus, the sign that's ruled by the planet Venus, and it relates to the face, the neck, and the throat area. The third house is Sahajabhava. The third house is representative of our siblings. And by the way, this is not an entirely inclusive of every house representation. As you can see, the houses are general, and the bhavas are general. Bhava means field of action. And so if you have a lot of planets in your second house, let's say, then you may be very concerned with building your wealth or acquiring things. And you may be concerned also with speaking and or teaching. There's a lot of indicators with each of the houses. So the house itself is broad, and you can see that in what we're talking about, what each house represents. The third house, Sahajabhava, is our siblings, and we're going to be looking at Lance Armstrong, who all of you, I'm sure, are familiar with him in terms of he's the cyclist who won the Tour de France. I think he won 7 times. At any rate, his chart is excellent to look at in the third house and other in terms of health. So the third house represents our siblings, writing, communications across the board, the written word, the spoken word. Third house is a very strong house for all kinds of communications. It deals with short distance travel, the kind of travel that you would be doing with commuting day to day, maybe to your job. It also deals with the hands and the arms. So in the natural zodiac, the third house relates to the sign of Gemini, which Geminis are the known communicators in the zodiac. Geminis are very interested in all forms of communication. These are the people that you see writing books, teachers, broadcast journalists, people who speak on the news every day. This is very much a Gemini type orientation. I have a friend who's in radio, and she's Gemini rising. I have another friend who publishes. She's Gemini rising. So this sign is very concerned with communication. And so in the body, the sign of Gemini, it also relates, yes, to the upper chest, the arms, the lungs. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is, you may remember, is a very fast-moving planet. And so it's very quick thinking and adaptable and changeable. When you think about people that are in communications, they have to be able to react pretty fast. So again, Gemini is going to deal with the shoulders, the arms, the upper chest. Someone who comes to mind here is the performer Michael Jackson, who had a very strong third house. And one of the things that he's remembered for is his movement and his body, his ability to dance. And this all has to do with the arms and the shoulders, certainly other parts of the body too. But Geminis always have a way of communicating, and a lot of times that will be in a very unique format. The fourth house is Sukhabhava. That's the fourth house is representative of the mother, of our emotions, of our happiness and security. The fourth house deals with home, and when you think about that, the fourth house also deals with our hearts. It deals with real estate, our sense of security. In the natural zodiac, it relates to Cancer, the sign of Cancer, which rules over the breast area, the chest, the stomach. This is the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is both Kapha and Vata in nature. And so you will recognize your Cancer friends from, they like to cook for you. They like to nurture you. And people who have a lot of planets in the sign of Cancer will be very nurturing and caring, and they will listen to you. These are the people who make excellent counselors and people in healing in general. A lot of times will have planets in the sign of Cancer because they are nurturing. They're willing to listen and stop what they're doing. So the fourth house, dealing with your mother, the fourth house deals with your home, where you live, your real estate, your sense of security in the world. All of this is fourth house. The fifth house is Putra Bhava. The fifth house deals with our children, which is our highest form of creation. The fifth house deals with creativity, and it deals with worship and education. The fifth house is called, it's also the house of good karma. And the fifth house is very important in the chart in terms of the first, fifth, and ninth house will always be considered to bring good and positive effects to anyone's life. So what planets are in there will tell you more about that. But again, the first, fifth, and ninth houses will always have a tendency to bring positive results to the chart. And the planets that rule those signs will be planets that really sort of lift your chart up. This house, the fifth house, deals with Leo, the sign of Leo, which Leo rules over the heart and the solar plexus area. The sun rules Leo. The sun has rulership over one sign only, and that's Leo. Your Leo friends may be actors. They may be in theater. They may be in some kind of performance area. Leos can command a room. They can walk in and all of a sudden there may be 50 people in the room, but all eyes may be on the Leo. They very much shine wherever they are. Leo has a strong sense of self, and this may be another reason. Again, Leo is ruled by the sun and is Pitta in nature. And so a lot of the attraction to Leo is that they do have a strong sense of self. And so people who are Leo rising will have the sun ruling their chart. And so whenever you look at Leo and you think of the heart, many times you think of really big-hearted people. And so if someone has a lot of planets in the sign of Leo, you may think of them as very generous and very big-hearted with a strong sense of self. They're very proud and bold. They stand out. So what we're doing is we are integrating the house, the bhava, with the characteristics or the nature of the house. We're integrating it with the planet that rules it, and also with the dosha. So let's move into the house, Satrubhava. The sixth house is a house that we'll talk about further because it is the house that deals with disease and disease potential. the sixth house is really, it's our everyday routine. It's what we do every day, which what we do every day would be things like getting up, brushing our teeth, washing our face, doing our spiritual discipline. Whatever your routine is, the sixth house will give more information about it. So the sixth house rules over the areas that, or an area that we could say might be disease potential. It also deals with our debts and with obstacles. The sixth house deals specifically with our health and accidents, enemies, servants, and service work. The sixth house will always give more information about what the person does on a routine basis. So in the natural zodiac, Virgo is the sixth house of the natural zodiac, and Virgo is very important in determining health and wellness in anyone's chart, and the specific reason for that is because it is the ruler. Virgo is the sign or constellation that deals with the digestive system. It deals with the large intestine and the colon. And so Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, and Mercury is Vata in nature. And so last week we looked at a chart that was, the rising sign was Virgo. And so we were able to discern a lot of information about the sign of Virgo. We know that Virgo is very, it is a very discriminating sign. It is a very sensitive sign. Virgos are very intelligent and very discriminating. They really are very analytical and methodical in their thought, and so they're always working to organize people and work, and their outward life has to be organized to a high degree, or they will internalize things and it will go to their digestive system. So we, as learning Ayurveda, we see the importance of the digestive system in the overall health of a person. So Mercury also, being Vata, is also deals with the circuitry of the body, meaning the circuit. And so Virgo is a highly sensitive sign and internalizes, and so the nervous system gets involved here too. So again, sixth house is very important in terms of disease potential. And the sixth house being a house of routine, people with a lot of planets in their sixth house will be very routine oriented many times. And depending on the sign, if it's Virgo, I've seen people with a lot of planets in the sign of Virgo, and they will deal specifically with some kind of healing work. Therapists, many therapists have a lot of signs, a lot of houses in the sign of Virgo, because it's a very service-oriented sign. And Virgo is also very body conscious. This is a sign that probably loves yoga, maybe more or as much as any of the signs, simply because they will do the work for their to honor their body. Now, again, that depends on a lot of other factors, but this is Virgo's nature in general. So you can see how the Vata very much influences Virgo, and this sixth house is very important in looking at someone's chart in terms of disease potential. The seventh house is it's Jaya Bhava, is your partner in life, or it also rules over business partners in general, your business affairs, your marriage. The 7th house is related to Libra, the sign of Libra. And Libra is Venus ruled by the planet Venus, which is, Parashara says, is Vata and Kapha in nature. Libra deals with the lower abdomen and the kidneys. This is a sign that is an air sign in element quality. And Libra is very concerned with balance. They want everything to be equal, and they want everything to be fair. And Libra is a very social sign. Many Libras are very interested in political things of a political nature. And when you think of the sign of the symbol for Libra and the scales, that's very important to astrology always, is the symbology that's involved. Libra deals with the scales of justice. They want fairness and balance and harmony, and they strive to have that. And that's, you may recall me saying that Saturn, transiting Saturn, has just moved into the sign of Libra, which puts a real microscope on relationships, because Libra deals specifically with relationships, with bringing a fair sense of balance. You know, everybody has their important part to play, and Libra will strive to do that. And so they deal with the lower abdomen and the kidneys. The 8th house is Mrityu Bhava. This house is the house that deals with death. This house is a transformational house. The 8th house is a moksha house, so it deals with things it deals with secrets and addictions, and many times addictions are a secret, and so it deals with all kinds of things of this nature. In the natural zodiac, it relates to Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is a sign that is very, very intense, and it's a secretive sign. Scorpio is a water sign, so Scorpios are very emotional. They don't show it, but because Mars rules Scorpio, and again, because with it being relating to the house of secrets, it's hard to know everything about a Scorpio person. So the 8th house deals with death and transformation. Transformation, the 8th house also deals with life. Planets in the 8th house will give further information about the 8th house deals with chronic diseases, but the 8th house deals with the reproductive organs, with the rectum, with the bladder, and it's ruled by Mars. So this is Pitta-like in nature. Again, Mars, you may recall, rules over blood, which Pitta is. That gives us more information, the dosha, the planet. The 8th house, as a house that deals with transformation, really also tells us of life. Let me just share with you that Muhammad Ali, and he is a fighter from a while back, but he had an incredibly strong 8th house. And so the 8th house deals with life because it deals with transformation. The 8th house dealing with research. If you have someone who has a lot of planets in the 8th house, these will be people who are very good at getting to the bottom of things. They know how to research something and get to the bottom of it. So the 8th house again is a moksha house, and it deals with things of a very deep nature. The 9th house is Bhagyabhava. This is a house of luck and fortune in the chart. It deals with law. It deals with our father, who is our first guru many times, and it also deals with our current guru. It deals with travel, with spirituality, all things that deal with spirituality. The 9th house is associated with the sign of Sagittarius, and this is the sign that is, you may remember, the centaur with the half horse, half man, who has the arrow. He has the bow and arrow in his hands, and so the centaur always hits his mark. Sagittarius is a sign that is ruled by Jupiter, the great Benefic. And so Sagittarians are, Kapha is the dosha that we're looking at here. Jupiter rules Kapha. Sagittarius is a sign that's very positive and upbeat. It's a fire sign, so you will feel their warmth many times. They're very interested in religion and they're very generous because Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. Again, people with issues in their hips, their thighs, their lower back, this is related to the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarians are very freedom-loving. Many of them are teachers because Jupiter rules the sign. Sagittarius is always, they're very, because Jupiter rules the sign, and Jupiter is considered a great benefic that brings luck and fortune. They're always expanding and moving on to new things. I have several Sagittarian friends, and they're always, they're teaching something new, they're adding something new. This is a sign, again, ruled by Jupiter. It's expansive. Where Jupiter is, it expands things. Okay, so let's look at the 10th house. The 10th house is Karma Bhava. This is your career, and this, in the natural zodiac, related to Capricorn, the sign that is, Capricorns are very business-like in nature. They're the sign that they organize also. They're very good at that. They're cautious. Capricorn, the sign itself, deals with the knees, the ankles, the bones, and joints. The 10th house itself deals with your status in life, your career, your reputation. If you have the moon in the 10th house, you may achieve fame and high status to where other people, you have immediate name recognition. This sign of Capricorn, remember that Capricorn is also the symbol, is the goat, and this sign is ruled by Saturn, so it's Vata-like in nature. Again, Capricorn is a very, it's an earth sign, and so they're very practical, and and they can be very serious. They're traditional and tenacious is a key word that you can put with Capricorn. Why would that be? Saturn as the ruler of Capricorn makes a person very tenacious and if you're ambitious and tenacious, you put those two things together, and over time, this person will persevere, and they will get to their reward, or they will get to their goal simply because they do the same things over and over and over again to achieve their goal. So Capricorn, again, ruled by Saturn, Vata in nature, dosha. The 11th house is the Yaya Bhava. This is the house that deals with the groups and associations, your friends. It's related to Aquarius in the zodiac, the natural sign of Aquarius. So the 11th house is our hopes and wishes. It's our dreams also, and it's what we gain through life. If you have the chart that we're getting ready to look at, Lance Armstrong had many planets in the 11th house. This natural sign of the zodiac, Aquarius, is very humanitarian sign. You may remember that the symbol is the man pouring water out of a pot. And so this is a humanitarian sign. This is a sign that, you know, is concerned with all of mankind, and it deals with, in the body, it deals with the skin and the nervous system. Saturn being a dry planet, a slow-moving planet, is Vata in nature. Aquarius is also a sign that's very scientifically oriented. Aquarius rising will need a lot of downtime because they have Saturn as the ruler of their chart, and Saturn rules the 12th house of their chart. So they will need a lot of time to in nature, or time to heal. The 12th house is Vyaya Bhava. This is the house of loss. The 12th house is another moksha area of our lives. The 12th house deals with our imagination. Let me back up. The 12th house deals with loss. It deals with the subconscious mind, which is our dreams, you know, where it deals with our sleep, our dreams. The 12th house is also the house of foreign lands, foreign people, and it also deals with pleasures, what we do behind closed doors. The 8th and the 12th houses are both moksha houses. So in a sense, they deal with, there are some similarities there. In terms of health, the 12th house deals with our feet because it's related to the sign of Pisces. So we've gone all the way around. We started with Aries, with the head. We've gone all the way around the 12 houses and looked at what each house deals with to some degree, not entirely. Medical astrology itself is an entirely different and very specific area. So we're being kind of broad with all of this, and there is some overlap with houses you will see in medical astrology. But Pisces does deal with the feet, and it deals with the lymphatic system, and also your metabolism. Jupiter rules the sign of Pisces, and so Pisces is very intuitive, very imaginative. And this is a sign that's very devotional too. And Pisces, having Jupiter as the ruler of its chart, many of these people will also be in some kind of teaching or healing or careers that deal with that nature. Okay, we talked about the houses. We talked about Virgo and how important it is in that where Virgo is in the chart of the person will give more information about their health. So Virgo represents the sixth sign of the natural zodiac. We know that. And more than any other sign of the zodiac, it deals with health and healing. It deals specifically with the digestive system. And is Vata, with the planet Mercury ruling it, is Vata in nature. So the sixth house, being specifically dealing with health and disease, the sixth house deals more with acute things of an acute nature, which come on quickly. And then the eighth house, if we move down and look at Scorpio, representing the eighth house of the natural zodiac, it's going to deal with things of a more chronic nature. Scorpio, again, ruled by Mars, Pitta in nature. It's ruling over the reproductive parts of our body. It deals with, the sign of Scorpio deals with sexual diseases, epidemics, and actually long-term illnesses. So the eighth house is involved in chronic disease or illnesses. These houses are the 6th, 8th, and 12th are really just called Dhisthana houses, which they're called Trik, T-R-I-K, which means they're houses that deal really with suffering, with things that are difficult, of difficult nature in our lives. Pisces represents the 12th house. If that's on the next page. Pisces is going to indicate loss. Let me go back. Pisces, being that it's related to the 12th house, it represents loss, endings, places of confinement. The 12th house is going to deal with homes, like hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living, places that you go to heal. The 12th house is also a house that deals with ashrams and places that you go, again, for healing or to be in private. So Pisces, being ruled by Jupiter, that we just spoke about, is Kapha-like in nature. So those three houses, 6, 8, and 12, will give you further information about disease, or what the person might be prone to, what areas they might be prone to have disease in. So what is the indicator of health? If we're looking at the disease, the indicator of health is always going to be the rising sign. The rising sign or the ascendant will always, it's the indicator of this entire physical body. So if it's ruled by Mars, that's going to tell you a lot about that person. And then where the Mars is located in the chart will give you even more information. So the overall health of a person is we're going to know just from the ascendant and the rising sign, because this is the indicator of the entire physical body. The ruling planet will always give you more information about the rising sign. Fire signs are really probably best for recovery. Fire signs would be Leo. Let's see. Aries is a fire sign. Leo and Sagittarius. These signs are, in general, are strong. The watery signs like a Scorpio, Pisces is a water sign. These signs have a little bit, their resistance is not as strong. That will make sense because it's water, and then you have fire. So a strong rising sign is always going to help make the strength of the chart, help in the health of the person. So let's take a look at Lance Armstrong, who many of you will I'm sure that all of you will know that he's the cyclist who won. The reason I like to look at his chart is because it's such, to me, it's such an inspirational chart. If we look down here at Scorpio in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see the planet, you're going to see Scorpio. So we started up here with Aries, and we worked our way around. The top left, the second block will be Aries, and then you'll see Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and then Scorpio. Lance Armstrong had testicular cancer that spread to his brain. You see here in his chart, he is Scorpio rising. We see Jupiter there at 7 degrees 31 minutes. Okay, Jupiter, Scorpio is the rising sign. You see the ASC, Ascendant, is here at 29 degrees 45 minutes. We're looking at the rising sign, though. That's our main concern right now. We want to look at Scorpio. What we know about Scorpio, that it is a sign that deals with death. It deals with transformation. It deals with the reproductive organs of the body. So we have Jupiter here in the first house, where Jupiter is where Jupiter is located in the chart is known to give protection. So Jupiter, a benefic planet, is located here in the sign of Scorpio. So let's look. Mars rules the sign of Scorpio, the planet Mars. Okay. Let me see. We are here at the sign of Scorpio. And so we're talking about that Mars is the ruler of this chart. Scorpio is the rising sign. Mars is the ruler. Mars is the planet of action and energy and passion. Mars actually rules over athletes and also the muscular system. Mars has, anytime that you see people in Mars is a very fast-moving planet, and so these people, and I refer to them sometimes as Martians. Martians will be attracted to Martian-like careers. A lot of times this is firemen, policemen, people who work as surgeons, people who work around blood. Mars is also deals with blood. So policemen, soldiers. In this case, we're looking at a world champion cyclist. So this is a very, it fits very much with the chart here, of course, because we're learning more information about him. So Mars being the planet that deals with accidents, it deals with blood, it deals with surgery. So we want to know where the ruler of the chart goes to. So we see that it goes to Capricorn, and it goes to the third house. Third house, hands, muscles, arms, physical. This is Mars. So Mars is in the sign, we see, of Capricorn. You see Capricorn just to the left here of the planet Mars. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, a Vata-like energy. There's Vata there, okay? Now Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, but exalted in terms of health is not always good. Exalted means that it's going to be working at its highest and best function. Capricorn being shrewd, businesslike. They go after a goal, set a goal, and they go after it. They persevere. They're tenacious. Capricorn relates to the goat, and you know the goat is the symbol that climbs. So Capricorn is ambitious. And so we're looking at the third house, and we're mixing this, we're integrating the Mars rising planet ruling this chart going to Capricorn. So Saturn is also the planet that's called Father Time. Now we see just above Mars is Rahu, the karmic node. Mars, the ruler of the chart, is with Rahu. This tells us a lot about this person. That there's incredible desires and wanting to obtain in this life. There's desire for material wealth. It's very ambitious. So the nodes are with his rising sign planet, the planet that rules his chart, the planet that rules his health. Because if we go up to the 6th house, which is Aries, for Scorpio rising, Mars is the ruler of the chart. It rules Scorpio, and Mars rules the sign of Aries. So just look at, you see where we're going with the disease potential here. Mars is a malefic planet. Now, a planet that rules your chart is always said to be good for you, but let's look further. Remember that Rahu with Mars magnifies. If you have the nodes with a personal planet, it's going to magnify that. But for what? Looking at the disease potential, we're looking at Scorpio, ruled by Mars, and then the 6th house. The 6th house is deals with accidents. Mars deals with blood. So Mars also deals with, whenever it's with Rahu, any planet with Rahu is going to make it hard to figure out or get to the bottom of it because of the influence of the nodes. And so Lance Armstrong was diagnosed with cancer, and the doctors actually gave him a 40% chance of him cycling again. Now, his cancer, in his, let me see what, I believe it was Mars-Saturn Mahadasha, which the Mahadasha, or the Dasha is also called, is very important. And I'm going to point to it right here. In 96, I believe, I could be wrong on the date, but I believe that's when he was initially diagnosed. October 96, he was coughing up blood. And so this Mahadasha set off this Mars-Saturn. And if we go over here, Mars is the planet with the round and the little arrow going up. That's Mars. That's Rahu in the sign of Capricorn, okay? So Mars and Saturn is all right there together. The doctors gave him, he was coughing up blood in this period. He went in and they determined that he had testicular cancer, and the cancer had spread to his brain. Now, Aries is the sign that deals with the head and the brain. It's the 6th house of Lance Armstrong's chart. Aries is Pitta-like. Mars rules the sign of Aries, giving us further information here. So he had extensive chemotherapy. Do you see the connection here with Scorpio, the rising sign ruled by Mars? The ruler of this going, the ruler of Scorpio, the ruler of his chart going to Capricorn, the 3rd house. Mars is there along with the node. Notice how close in degrees Mars is 18 degrees 59 minutes. Rahu is 20 degrees 34 minutes. So these are very close. That means that there's very much a connection there. So he had extensive chemotherapy, and the cancer went into remission. He went on to obtain his dreams. And let me just say, the 11th house, you see the sun is here, Venus is here. We're looking at primarily the sun and Venus. But the 11th house also deals with healing or our ability to recover, is connected to recovery. So what I wanted to point out about his chart is that the 11th house here is our hopes and wishes and dreams, and certainly he's gone on to obtain that. But the fact that the sun is there, and we haven't put the aspects in, which is what Monica was talking about earlier, and we'll do that in as much as I will share this special aspect with you. But the 11th house deals with our achievements in life, and he has the sun there. And this is just very basic, and we have to integrate a lot of information. But he went on to win the Tour de France after all of this, after everything he went through. And he was in the Mars Saturn Mahadasha. I'm trying to see what year. I'm not certain what year. At any rate, he was in Mars Saturn Mahadasha and Bhukti when he found out about the cancer. And Mars and Saturn are very difficult energies to deal with. Mars, of course, is Pitta. Saturn is Vata. But the planets themselves, one planet, Mars likes to go really fast. Mars wants to go very fast. Mars is also racing car drivers. Many of them have Mars ruling their chart. But Saturn is a planet that is very slow and deals with disease and illness. It comes on very slow. Mars is very opposite of that. It deals with disease and illness that comes on acute, quickly, fast. It hits the person quick. So these are very opposite planets to deal with. And then we have Rahu with the ruler of the chart that brings out really the karmic destiny of this person. You know, he obviously came here to overcome that illness, and then he achieved what he came to achieve. Rahu and Ketu always bring, you know, our karmic destiny to us. With Mars ruling the chart, Mars ruling the sign of Scorpio. Again, it is a first-class malefic, meaning that at some point it would bring some suffering, but then also it gave him, you know, the ability to, and the courage. This is important for third house. The third house deals with our courage. So for Scorpio, that's going to be Capricorn as the third house. And so it gave him that tenacity that we talk about that Capricorn has. So what did we do? We followed the chart. We looked at the ascendant sign, which is Scorpio rising, ruled by Mars. It took us to, and we first of all, we assessed the overall health of somebody. Mars is going to fight. Mars will fight for what they, in this case, he fought for his life. And many times, Scorpio, where those planets go to, will tell us more about the person. But we learn through Scorpio what health issues he might deal with. Mars rules the sign of Scorpio. Mars rules the sign of Aries. Mars goes to the third house exalted in the sign of Capricorn, the exaltation helped him and also hurt him in terms of health. But also the fact that his rising sign is very, it is fire. I'm sorry, Mars is, Scorpio rising is water, but Mars is a very strong, fiery planet. And so Mars deals with blood, accidents, and Saturn also being a planet, Saturn ruled here, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, also deals with cancer. So what we did was look at the rising sign, Scorpio. We looked at the ruler. We looked at also what was close to the ruler, because remember the nodes are going to affect that. And then we looked at his 6th house, which is also Aries, dealing with the head. This is where the cancer went into the brain. And so we assessed those 3 areas. So when you look at astrology in terms of helping it, using it as a diagnostic tool with Ayurveda to know what someone might be prone to. And always the Mahadasha and the Bhukti, which is Mars, Saturn, is when he began coughing up blood, is when he began his illness. So the ruler of the chart, he was in this Mahadasha and this Bhukti period. Mars being considered the malefic that it is, it will cause problems for Scorpio rising and for Aries rising. But you always want to look at where the planet, where that planet goes to. That's the 6th house. And this one point, the 11th house also deals with charities. He did set up a charity for cancer. So because he has this connection with 9th, 10th, and 11th houses, to achieve and to overcome. And there is no one specific thing that is going to, astrology is, in terms of when we're looking at it for health, it will lead you to indicators, to likelihoods, to potential. And so that's what we've done with this chart. Does anyone want to, we're looking at Scorpio rising, does anyone want to ask a question about the houses that we've looked at? The Ascendant, we looked at where the ruler of the chart went, and we looked at the 6th house. These are the ones that we, for today, are the most concerned with. And again, the Ascendant will always be the indicator of the overall health. And that he had Jupiter here, there is an element of protection where Jupiter is. Now, it can magnify things, but he was not, let's see, he was in, let's see, a Jupiter minor period. So the Jupiter, it probably helped and hurt at the same time. Jupiter has a tendency to magnify things, and it's kapha-like in nature. So here we have followed the chart and we've looked at the indicators. Does anyone have a question about what we did in terms of the Ascendant and the planets that ruled the chart? There are the Mahadasha and the Bhukti period is the software. Well, those are periods that really set off. For instance, he was in a Mars and Saturn period. A dasha is simply a timing. It's a timing of an event. And indeed, the whole chart is timing. But there is astonishing information in this symbolic language. And so you see, he was in the Mars Saturn Mahadasha when the illness came on, and Mars ruling the chart. And Mars is the planet that rules over blood, and Mars has to do with accidents, and I don't know exactly everything behind what happened prior to his spitting up blood, but we see that he's in a Mars, primarily Mahadasha, so that it does empower the person. It empowers him because Mars likes to show its strength. Mars is very stoic, and so this Mars Mahadasha, and then Saturn Bhukti. Mars Mahadasha is the first one, and then Saturn is the Bhukti, which is we could say minor period, but the importance of it is that it's going to instigate an event. It's going to cause an event to happen. And so right away, we could be suspicious because Mars does rule the 6th house of hell. Saturn rules the 3rd house, and Saturn rules the 4th house. Now, the problem was the blood and cancer, or both Mars and Saturn also deals with cancer, and so it was magnified, most likely with Jupiter. But the dasha will always tell. Let me here in a Mars Mercury K2 dasha was became into remission with it. So Mars Mercury is in the 10th house here of career. And analysis with some good layer. Other planet is not necessarily a good planet for his chart because it rules the in the sign of Virgo. Venus did to give him access to good information and to healing. And then he went on to use his 11th house to set up charity organizations. So I went a little around the block there, but the dasha, the dasha and the Bhukti will tell you what what planets are going to be activated.